He always thought he knew what was best. When he was passed up for a promotion, he complained loudly. How can you be my senior? He would say to one of the ministers. And yet, I am teaching you how to do your job properly. So word got back to Kenyatta, and the old man was called in to see the president. According to stories, Kenyatta said to the old man that because he could not keep his mouth shut, he, Barack Obama Sr., would not work again until he had no shoes on his feet. Dreams from My Father by Barack Hussein Obama. And here we see Barack and his half-sister Auma Obama finally broaching the subject of the old man, their dad, who by that time had already died. On the last day of his visit, he took me to lunch. Here is many years later, after Auma traveled to Germany and started her own life away from her family back in Kenya. Remember, she left without telling her father. She says, "It was only in Germany that I began to let go of some of the anger I felt towards him. The last time I saw him, he was on a business trip representing Kenya at an international conference in Europe. I was apprehensive because we hadn't spoken for so long. But when he arrived in Germany, he seemed relaxed, almost peaceful. We had a really good time. When he was being completely unreasonable, he could be so charming. He took me with him to London, and we stayed in a fancy hotel where he introduced me to all his friends at a British club. He was pulling out chairs for me and making a great fuss, telling all his friends how proud he was of me. On the last day of his visit, he took me out to lunch and we talked about the future. He asked me if I needed money, and he insisted that I take something. He told me that once I returned to Kenya, he would find me a proper husband. It was touching, you know, what he was trying to do, as if he could make up for all the lost time. By then, he had just fathered another son, George, with a young woman he was living with. And so I told him, Roy and myself were already adults. We have our own ways, our own memories of what happened between all of us, which is hard to undo. But with George, the baby, he's a clean slate. You have a chance to really do right by him. He just nodded as if for some time Auma had been staring at our father's photograph, soft focused in the dim light. Now she stood up and went to the window, her back turned to me. She was clutching herself, her hands inching over her hunched shoulders. She began to shake violently as I came up behind her and put my arms around her, and she wept, sorrow washing through her in slow, deep waves. Do you see, Barack? I was just starting to know him. I was just getting to the point where he might have explained himself. Sometimes I think he might have really turned the corner, found some inner peace. When he died, I felt so cheated, as cheated as you must have felt. Sauti Akilini, voice of the mind. Home. Home of the next generation. Stay tuned. Don't touch that dial. Oh yeah.